meeting that in mind.
Okay. Gotcha.
Really.
What constitutes a disability? There's 13 of them in the federal law. And they are intellectual disability, formerly mental retardation. President Obama changed mental retardation to intellectual disability because the word MR was too stigmatizing to a lot of people, so they changed it. But when the white teachers go in the classroom by themselves, what do they call your kids? Retarded. So don't get it twisted, okay? What is a intellectually disabled, intellectually deficient, intellectual disability? What is an intellectually disabled child / mental retardation? That is a child with an IQ score that is below 70. Below 70. If you're taking notes, you want that 70 on your notepad. The IQ score must be below 70. That means it has to be a 69 or lower. IQ must be a 69 or lower. Before you get married, check your potential partner's IQ score. Make sure you're equally yoked. Make sure you're equally yoked. Okay, you got a 130, he got a 60. I don't know if y'all gonna work together. Okay? So the IQ score must be below 70. And stay with me, y'all. In the United States of America, you cannot diagnose a child as retarded just because the IQ score is below 70. That's only one criteria, low IQ. What is the other criteria? There must be an adaptive behavior impairment. I'm going to explain what that is. Y'all, what is an adaptive behavior impairment? You know what that means? First of all, what is intelligence? Your ability to adapt to your environment. So if a child got an IQ score of 69 or lower, you can't call them intellectually deficient unless there's evidence that they are also impaired in at least one adaptive behavior area. What are the adaptive behavior areas, people? Language. Can the child communicate? Social skills. Can they get along with other people? Self-help. Can they wash themselves? Can they blow their nose? Can they go to the bathroom without your help? Can they walk home from school? Can they use public transportation? Can they hold a job? Everybody got me? In other words, when I look at your child, I better see something different. If that boy is just as linguistically acute as his peers, his adaptive skills is fine. He can go to school on his own. He can get along with other folks. He can learn fine. The only problem is a low IQ score. Can I call him intellectually disabled? No. I need proof. That's what I'm going to ask you. Mom, dad, grandma, is he different from other kids in any way? Social skills, self-help skills, language, work, community navigation. How does he act in football practice? How is he at church? I need to see impairment. If there's no impairment, then he might not be retarded. Now, why don't they allow us to use an IQ score by itself? Because all IQ tests are culturally biased. Black kids regularly get scores below 70. Are y'all following me? So to say a black child is retarded off an IQ test made by racist white people. Now let's deal with that. Where do we get the intelligence quotient from? William Stern, Adolf Hitler's Germany. I hope y'all just heard me. The IQ idea is an invention of Adolf Hitler's Germany. In fact, one of his closest scientists, William Stern, came up with IQ to justify the extermination of European Jews and Africans at the time of the Third Reich. Okay? So that's why y'all got to stop thinking something wrong with our kids because they don't score as high as white kids on these tests because the tests were designed by white racist people to make it look like white kids are smarter. Right? Remember, there was a black man who got so tired of it that he came up with his own IQ test. The Black Intelligence Test of Cultural Homogeneity. Black Intelligence Test of Cultural Homogeneity 100. And he said, I'm going to test white kids and see how well they do on black cultural knowledge, and they will look just as retarded in our culture as we look in theirs. This is real. You can do the research on it. And then he showed up with the test, and the white folks said, "What is this?" He said, "Bitch 100. Excuse me, sir? Bitch 100. Somebody get security, please. Someone let the wrong person in. So obviously the white folks struck the test at him, but he was trying to make a point. And the point is, IQ is measuring cultural knowledge more than innate ability. Are y'all following me? Now some of y'all still not convinced, so I'm gonna go a little further. We're still dealing with IQ. We're still dealing with IQ. Now in America, a black boy is 4 times as likely as a white boy to be diagnosed with retarded. So if anybody in here ever gets a report talking about your child is intellectually disabled, you're going to fax that to Dr. Umar so I can see it. We never let our children walk around with that label if it doesn't apply. We do have intellectually deficient children. Yes, we do. But a lot of the ones who got that label do not have it. So what is the fax number that you need to fax? 215-827-5404 if you ever need me to look at any paperwork as it relates to anything, okay? 215-827-5404. Now, when we talk about IQ score, we're normally talking about FSIQ. What is FSIQ? That is full scale intelligence quotient. That's your overall score. When you say my child got a 130 IQ, what you're really saying is my child has a full-scale intelligence quotient, FSIQ, of 130. But I need y'all to know that there's more than one IQ score. This is the overall, this is the most important, but there's other ones that y'all need to know about. And this is when you're going to see the racism and the cultural biasness. Let's deal with the first one. So this is full scale, so I'm going to draw a line. We have working memory IQ. What is working memory IQ? That's the score that tells me how well your child can hold information in their mind and work on it. For example, when you do a math problem, that's working memory because you have to do what? Hold the numbers in your head, cross out, borrow, carry, add. It's working memory. That's a universal measure of ability. That cannot be culturally biased. Okay? The next one is what? PSIQ. Processing speed. How fast can that boy solve problems? How fast can the little girls solve problems? How fast they can do it and do it right. Okay? Processing speed. Okay? The next one is NVRIQ. Nonverbal reasoning intelligence. What is nonverbal? This is when your child is asked to do problems that don't require them to talk or understand language. This is blocks. This is puzzles. This is matrices. So for example, in the IQ test, I give your child 4 blocks, and I show them a picture. And I ask them to make this picture as fast as you can with these blocks. The faster your child finishes, the more points they get. It's universal because it doesn't require any cultural understanding. Are y'all following me? So whether you're black, white, Chinese, Mexican, you can do it the same because it's universal. And then we come to the last one. This has been white supremacy, raising this 30 years. What is the last of the 4 major IQ scores that make up the overall IQ score? VIQ. This right here is the problem. And so I'm going to highlight it. VIQ. That stands for what? Verbal. Verbal intelligence. You know what that is? The words that white people use. The ideas that white people use. The concepts that white people use, that if you grow up in a black neighborhood, whether you poor or rich, they are foreign to you because they have nothing to do with the black experience. So stay with me. Your child, working memory, got a 90. IQ, that's average. Your child, processing speed, got an 85. Low average, that's all right. Your child, nonverbal reasoning IQ, got an 88. Low average, I can live with that. Your child, verbal IQ, got a 60. Average, average, average. Deficient, these scores go together to make up this. Now, if you take this white thing out, if you take the racism out, and just use them three, he got an IQ score of about 87, low average. We can live with that. But you put this 60 in. What is that going to do to that 87? So now your child got a 65 IQ, and somebody's saying he's retarded because he don't know the words white people use. Do y'all see how this happens now? That's why when somebody talk about your child is a slow learner, or we think she's slow, or we think they're retarded, I need you to look at these individual scores. Look at these and see how your child did. Because if they did okay on everything but verbal, then you know that was a culturally biased score. When they talk about the 15-point discrepancy, they're talking about the 15-point discrepancy in verbal, not over. This is pulling the score down. Now some of y'all would say, if that's the case, why don't they just take the verbal out? Take that out and let it be fair. That will never happen in American society. Why? Why will they never take this one out? Because it gives the illusion that their kids are intellectually superior. Now check it out. Right now, the white kids got a higher score than black kids, right? Take out that verbal. That gives them the advantage, and what starts to happen to them damn scores? The black child might start doing better than the white child, and now we got a problem, don't we? Because if the black kids got a higher general IQ score than the white kids in Virginia, how do you justify so few black kids being accepted by the University of Virginia? How do you justify only a few blacks in a medical program? How do you justify only a few blacks in law school? If the IQ scores go the other way, the racism becomes obvious. Our kids are not being denied because they're slow, they're being denied because they're black.